You need cheese, you need sauce, and you need pasta. These are some fresh pasta sheets. You can use the store-bought dried stuff if you want. Also got some ricotta. Now, this is the second lasagna I've made, as we've been testing out recipes to see what would work in the restaurant. So we're going to make another one. I'll sell it as a special this weekend. It's not supposed to be that nice. So to prepare the ricotta, you need 1 tub of ricotta, 1 egg. Move that out of the way. And a little bit of milk. About 2 tablespoons. Turn it on. We're going to whip it up really good. Okay. Unplug it. Attach my beaters. Move this out of the way. Put this in the fridge. Bring this over here. Now, the meat sauce I made yesterday, and I prefer to work with a cooler meat sauce. I mean, you can do it fresh and just let it go, put it all together. I prefer to work with a cold meat sauce. Alright, I need my spoon. Well, this is basic bolognese sauce. Rather than spend the time making my own tomato sauce and adding it to this, we just use the cans of Primo. But other than that, I follow the classic way to make it, using milk and the meat to help break down the proteins. The other side is the camera. The camera's over here. So, yeah, it's pretty tasty. At home, I'd make everything from scratch. Alright. I have my prepared pan. I have my ricotta. I just have to move this out of the way because I need mozzarella. So I've sprayed the pan. There's never enough room. And there's a big hunk of meat in there. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of meat sauce down on the bottom. Just ever so little. Okay. And I'm going to take a sheet of my pasta. You can get it off. Where there's no plastic, it is stuck together. If I remember correctly, I went this way. Lay it down. Or did I go the other way? I'm not quite sure now. Let me actually press it the other way. I went. No, that's not right. It's 2 sheets per. Let's just do it this way. Everyone get down in there. There we go. There's one. We're going to overlap it just ever so slightly. Alright, then I'm going to take a little bit of ricotta. You can also use dried cottage cheese if you can find it. I've been having a real issue finding it. So, I'm just going to, kind of like a cake decorator. Depends how cheesy you want your stuff. Okay. I'm gonna take the meat sauce. I'm gonna. Yeah, this is. I wasn't paying attention. That is one lump of meat. Put that there and break that up later. So the complaint I got with the last one I made wasn't quite saucy enough. I only used 1 can. So I'm going to make 2 cans this time. That's what I used in this meat sauce, was 2 cans of pasta sauce to 3 kilograms of beef. There's another big one there. You just spread it out. I'm not going to use all this. I'm probably going to wind up freezing some of this sauce. This is just going to be the weekend special. It's kind of fall-y now. It's about comfort food. It's kind of chilly out. Okay. Move that out of the way. You could add spinach at this point too. I just don't have any. I'm going to add about probably 1.5 cups of cheese. Obviously, this is like double what you'd make at home. This is just quick restaurant style. A lot of places just order the products from Campbell's. Not gonna lie, we're looking into that as well, because lasagna is a 3-day process around here, and I do not have 3 days to spend making lasagna all the time. So next, another sheet of lasagna pasta, and this is as near to homemade as I can get without making it myself. And I do not have the space or the time to make the homemade pasta. I would love to. I'm going to be making some gluten-free pasta for my daughter, but I don't have the time to go. Last time I did a 4-layer. This time I'm only going to do a 3-layer lasagna because they felt it was a little bit high and a little bit filling, and I just fucked that up. So let's go like that. There you go. Boop. Try and get it as coated as you can. Just stay there. Once you start getting the pieces together, it gets a little sloppy. Alright. More meat sauce. And you just keep layering. I mean, if you want to do an 8-layer lasagna, all the more power to you. But those pieces are not going to be, unless you're a big eater. If I was in my 20s, sure, I could do that. Now I'm in my 40s. Notice my appetite is not what it used to be. Mind you, I've also cut things out the last almost year now. I've lost 45 pounds, so chef is getting swole. Meat. More cheese. Now, if I didn't have to open, hang on one sec. I'm hearing noises. If I didn't have to open another bag of orange cheddar, I'd throw some of that on top. You can actually, if I can do it without knocking the camera, I've got some fresh grated parm. I'm actually going to add a little bit of that on this layer here. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Perfect for when it's down and on the top. Alright, next, I think I've got, oh bugger, I've got more layers pulled than I thought I did. It's alright, I can make a smaller lasagna. So, we're going to do that. Actually, you know, I could just do a 4-sheeter again too, for all that matters. Okay, Look at that. So the process with the meat sauce is I browned the meat, took it out of the pot, added the vegetables to the pot with a little bit of beef fat. Well, I guess I should go back. I browned the meat for a little bit, added a quarter cup of milk to that, and let that simmer down. And that helps break down the meat proteins. If you're lactose intolerant, you obviously want to skip that step, but then if you're lactose intolerant, I wouldn't want to know what you're paying for dairy-free cheese to make a lasagna. And then I added my garlic and my herbs to that, and it's just a basic Italian spice mixture. Added my veggies back to that, and then I added my tomato sauce and let it simmer for a few hours on low heat. You could use a crock pot. Cooled it down, put it in the insert, and put it in the fridge for use today. Maybe I will do a fourth layer. I don't know. I got a lot of meat sauce here. A lot of people don't like making lasagna at home because it is such a freaking intensive process. And there we go. I wish I had the spinach, but that's on the truck. I'm going to make a cream of spinach soup. And cheese. Corners, mess there. And the parchment paper just helps it so that the lasagna doesn't stick to the pan. It makes dishes a whole lot easier. So if your wife says or your boyfriend says, I'm making lasagna, you tell them to make sure you put parchment paper in it, because if you're on dishes, you don't have to worry. All right, so at this point I can just stop, cover it with tin foil, and throw it in a 375-degree onion oven for about 2 hours. The last 10 minutes, you're going to want to pull it out of pull the cover off, turn the heat up a little bit, and let the cheese brown. Let's just fix that. Oh, look at that fist there. There we go. Here. Sorry about that. And now you get move that over a little bit. There. So there's that. I have 2 sheets left over, so I'm going to make it a 4-sheeter. The next time you see this lasagna, it'll be out of the oven. Morning. It's a cold, dreary, very blustery, rainy day here. So I am going to take this opportunity and show you how to make some gluten-free bread first. Forgot to press play and did a whole bunch of speaking before, so everything's already in the blender. This is a very simple bread to make. So in here, I've got 3 cups of gluten-free bread flour, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and to that I am going to add 1.5 cups of warm water, which is right here, with a 1/4 cup of canola oil, 2 egg whites, and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Now I just need to put the vinegar in there, and then the egg whites, and then we're going to get going. So there's 1 teaspoon of vinegar. This over here out of the way. And now for the egg whites. Oh, there you go. Stay right there. Oh, you know what? I guess I should put the salt in too. Teaspoon of salt. One egg white. Woo, that was a good crack. I'm just gonna go this way. I'll wash my hands before. It's 2. Yeah, that's good enough. Move this out of the way. Hands, get a cloth. All right, so I'm going to combine this. Let it go for a minute, just combine all the dry ingredients. Hi. All right, I'm going to add my egg whites. And then we're going to mix on medium speed for about 2 minutes. Also, I'm not using a dough hook. Where's medium on here? That's about medium. Set our timer, 2 minutes. There we go. We're also going to make some banana bread. My child is celiac, as I've said before, so this is a great alternative to the cardboard crap they usually sell at the grocery stores for $8 a loaf. And while that is mixing away, I'm just going to take this opportunity to put some things in the dishwasher. That I'll need here in a bit. That I won't need anymore. Alright. I'm also making myself a chicken noodle soup today because I decided that is needed. So while that is mixing, I'm just going to take a few seconds and peel an onion. It's good to see that my staff have listened to me in my requests for them to do some cleaning while it was quiet, as it's back to school right now when I'm making this video. And so hasn't been as busy as we're used to. There's our timer. Just gonna stop that. I just need to finish making a few more cuts. Alright. So we're looking for a loose batter to form. It's fairly loose to me. use my spatula. My kingdom for a spatula. All right. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. It smells like bread. So we're just gonna do this. Try and get it all off. It is a very sticky dough. Now, the important thing to remember with gluten-free flours, anything you bake, is it needs to sit. Because this is a yeasted dough, it does need to sit. If it's not yeasted, like a muffin or something, you're still going to want to let it sit for 30 minutes so that the flours have a chance to absorb the water molecule. So I've got a lined pan. We're just going to take our bread dough. This is sticky as baby you know what on a diaper. Let's just go like that. All right, you know what I'm going to do just to make my life a little bit easier? I'm going to get the spray and get off. Spray this thing. Wash my fingers off here. Well, I didn't wash that well, but it'll work. So I've sprayed it, and we're just gonna push the dough. Stop it. That's all. Just gonna push the dough there, and we're gonna tap it. 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna let it rise uncovered for 45 minutes, or until it's just above the top of the pan, whichever comes first. So a nice warm spot over in the corner of my kitchen. I'm gonna put that there. Okay. And I am going to pause this, come back, and we'll be ready to make banana bread. All right, as promised, time to make some brown butter banana bread. So I've got half a cup of maple syrup. You can use half honey if you want, if you don't have enough maple syrup. You can't use pancake syrup, it has to be maple syrup. Right, to that, I'm going to add some brown butter, which is that. Now to make brown butter, you put butter in a pan, put it on medium-high heat on the stove, and then watch it. Once it foams, you're going to see it start turning a little brown. Pull it from the heat right away. Take it off the stove. Do not leave it on the stove, or else it will continue to cook and you'll wind up with burnt butter. Now, brown butter smells a little nutty, and that is what you want. So you need 1/3 of a cup. Did I do it right? Oh, I did it right. Right here. Put that in there. You know what? Just like a little bit more. I don't care. There we go. All right. Got that. And we got that. I got my trusty paddle attachment. Can we get any more? Oh, there we go. We're going to mix that together. Mix. There we go. There we go. Mix it real good. Okay. Chef, you can't sing. No shit. To that mixture, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of milk of your choice. It can be almond milk, it can be oat milk, it can be regular milk. or it can even be water. To that, you're going to add 2 mashed bananas. And to that, we're going to add 2 eggs. 1, 2. Into that mix, we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. This is, yeah, you can see that, pure vanilla extract. It's a Costco brand. Let that mix for a little bit. And over here, I've got 1 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour. It can be regular flour. Tablespoon of cinnamon, tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of baking soda. Once that's mixed up, turn that off. And you're just going to dump that in. Low, 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 low. You're going to let it mix. And while I'm waiting for that to mix, I'm going to throw some stuff in the dishwasher. Quick wipe. Now to this, I'm going to add, let's see if you can see it, some score chippets, toffee bits. Probably about half a cup, just a little bit over. And I'm also going to add some dark chocolate chunks. Good, are you? And we're going to mix it up. Pour that into our prepared pan, let it sit 30 minutes, and then put it in a 350-degree oven. Just take that off like that. And push it down, and then, like I said, let it sit for 30 minutes. And then pop it into 350-degree oven for about 55 minutes. Okay, we've let our bread rise 45 minutes. Banana bread's also sat for 45 minutes. I'm going to pop them into a 370-degree oven. It's a little hotter than I need for the banana bread. Banana bread should be around 350, but I'm just averaging it out for the 2 of them, so either one doesn't sit forever. And that should take about 45 minutes for the regular bread, and probably about 55 minutes for the banana bread. We will check back in a little bit. Okay, so banana bread, it took 50 minutes. The gluten-free bread right there, that took 45, and I had time to whip up another batch exactly the same way I did this one and make it into some muffins for my kids so that they can take them to school, allergen free. These ones are the same thing, toffee and chocolate, brown butter. I'm on a brown butter kick lately. I just made brown butter Rice Krispie squares, but I threw in a few cups of popcorn and a little bit of Fruity Pebbles and the Rice Krispies and some toffee bits. So good. But I didn't actually have time to show you how I did that, as I had some other prep I had to do while I was doing that. So you're gonna want to let this cool for 20 minutes in the pan. Same with this. These 10 minutes because they're smaller, so they'll cool faster. Pull them out, put them on the rack, let them cool completely. I have racks upstairs. I'm just downstairs in the prep kitchen. I'm just using the extra oven rack that I didn't need. You can store this in an airtight container on the counter for 2 days, but then I'd put it in the fridge if it lasts that long. This, same thing. These, you can freeze. You can also freeze this as well. If you slice it, put some patty paper in between the slices and then freeze it. And you got a quick snack for your kids or for yourself if you're running late. You can also add a tablespoon of flax to either bread and bring up the nutritional content even more. So that's how you do that. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be adding some more videos here shortly. Take care, and let's move on to the next segment. Good morning. Had a viewer request for clam chowder. So I'm going to show you how I make mine. When I had my restaurant on Vancouver Island, I was privy to fresh clams and lots of halibut bones, and I made my stock out of the halibut bones and the nectar from the clams. So unfortunately, now that I'm in landlocked Alberta, and we don't have the freshy stuff, and it's expensive to get, I use clam nectar, as well as canned clams. Sometimes I can get them fresh, well, frozen fresh, for a good price. Right now, not too much. One thing you do have to watch with this clam nectar, bring that in there, it's the amount of sodium in that. See, there's not too much in here, but these can contain shell bits. So for my clam chowder, I've got some white potatoes. You can use russet. I like to use whites because I don't have to peel them. I've got some bacon, a large onion, 6 ribs of celery, and a carrot pretty much the size of my forearm. I'm not going to use it all. A lot of people prefer pure white clam chowder. This is the English. I don't like Boss. So they won't put the carrots in. I put the carrots in just because I don't really care. And it gives it a little pop of color. Also adding to that is salt and thyme. And on the stove, I have a pot going with some oil and some butter. Okay, well, let's get going. Oh, and I also have some gluten-free flour to thicken everything up. So the first thing I want to do, just put this stuff out of the way. My daughter's celiac. 90% of my menu is gluten-free. I don't have any regular flour. So when I say gluten-free flour, if you're not celiac and you just have regular flour, just use regular flour. It's a 1-to-1. So my bacon is partially frozen, which is best for cutting because I can cut it nice and thick. I won't use my homemade bacon for my soups because it's just better for the eats. Okay? So you dice up your bacon. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to render down. And I should say I've only got about 2 tablespoons of butter in the pot, as well as a tablespoon of oil, just so that it doesn't burn, because the bacon is going to release a lot of fat. Oh, I've also cleaned up my things, saved the trim for a stock. You can freeze it. So you can put the bacon in your pot. Get it going. Now, a trick to help render your bacon down a little faster is, that's all fat. Put a little bit of water in, and then your bacon won't burn. And then it'll render out the fat, and then it will crisp up. I've got about an hour till I open. I'm making the soup for tomorrow. I find the clam chowder is best when you make it and then it sits for a day. But you don't have to. You can make it and you can eat it right away. I prefer to eat my clam chowder with a nice, fresh loaf of crusty bread. I'm not celiac, my daughter is, so I don't need to worry about that. Here at work, I have croissant buns, and that will work for me. All right. Next, where is my sanitizer? Just gonna give a little spray. It's my sanitizer. Just check what's going on. Alright, just gonna pause the video. I got someone showing up in my kitchen. I'm back. It was my meat order. So it's been a few minutes. Oops. There's the bacon. I put a little bit of water in it. As you can see, it's pulled out a lot of the fat rendering down. So my next step is to do the vegetables. So we're going to start with the onions, because onions and bacon. And a lot of chefs, like I said, go cut it that way, and I don't see the point. It's just going to get smashed up anyhow, and I'm not really concerned about my fancy onions. And my knives kind of suck. I have to get them sharpened. I need to put that over there. There. You can see this ending badly. That is a big ass onion. Turn it sideways. Just take all the parts, put it there. Just gonna dice this quick. So the carrot, I am going to grate and add it in. Oopsies. That's it. So I can't reach. All right, I'm answering things on my iPad as well. I could dice it too, I guess. But I don't want to. I never used to like clam chowder. Then once I learned how to make it properly, everyone's like, "Oh my God, Campbell's clam chowder, it's so good." Yeah, no. Alright, so I'm going to get a bowl so I can transfer this into. the same time, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of thyme. Don't know why it works, but it just works. Now, because I got the bacon and I've got the high sodium clam nectar, I'm not going to add any salt. But I will add white pepper. My order just hasn't come yet, and it's on the truck. Just stir it. Next up is my celery, which I've already washed. I'm a lefty, so you just take it, split it down the middle. I like my soups rustic, home stylish. I don't really care if everything's like the same size. I mean, it helps for cooking, obviously, but I like a nice chunky soup. When I do my mushroom soups, I use 1/4 inch sliced mushrooms. So, see, onions and the potatoes are the bulk of the soup, plus the clams. So that's why I'm only using 6 pieces of celery. Toss that in. Now, because I'm grating the carrot, I don't need to dice it. Now, the potato, oh my goodness. What I do for my potatoes, take that, and it gives you a nice sturdy base. Okay? And I just kind of cut them like this, probably about a 1/4 inch thick, or a centimeter if you're the rest of the world. These have a lot of starch in them as well, and that will help thicken your soup. Now, you don't want to be cooking it on too high heat. I'm cooking on a low medium heat on my flat top stove. I'd say between 4 and 5. My gas stove doesn't have numbers, but it's a low flame. Because once I open up, I'll have to move my pot off the flat top onto the stove so I can cook my burgers and stuff. And you gotta watch the potatoes too. These bad pieces. Okay, so there's 1 potato. I'm only gonna use 2. We got some fairly large sized potatoes. I haven't forgot about this one yet. It smells good already, so that's a plus. If you haven't made your clam chowder with halibut stock, I recommend going to your local fishmonger and asking for a pound or 2, and then rinse them off really well, and then into a pot with cold water, an onion, and some celery, bay leaves, salt, peppercorns, and half a lemon, and let it simmer for 45 minutes. You can go 45 to an hour. Any longer than that, and it starts to get muddy, and it doesn't taste good. As I said, I'm using white potatoes instead of russets. Russets I would peel. Just make sure you wash potatoes and your vegetables. Get rid of, you don't know who's been breathing on them. Get rid of any pesticide residue and stuff like that. Yeah, someone could have just gone to the washroom, not washed their hands, look at the potato. Okay, so let me go over here. See if I can raise you up. Can you raise me up? So I'm just gonna let this slowly simmer away. The vegetables are tender, onions are translucent, potatoes are soft. And then I'm gonna add my carrots. Cook them for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Into that, I'm gonna add the flour. Cook the flour for a bit. And then I will add my stocks. Once I've added the stocks and the soup's had a chance to thicken, I'll add about a cup of heavy cream just to get it white and to give it that creamy texture. I don't need a ton of cream in my soups. So for the next step, I'm going to get you back down. Stew. Move over here. Do the sanitizer. You know what? I just realized my dishwasher's. Fix that problem. Great. Hey, dishwasher's on. Part of getting to work an hour before you open. Sometimes you forget stuff. Clams. I'm going to take the bowl I had the veggies in. How's the what? Yeah, turn it up to 47. Right, and then we're going to open the can. Not all the way because you don't want the lid to fall into. Yeah, turn it up. Our fridge is acting up and my condenser is freezing up, so. Okay, take your cans of clam, drain them. Now at the same time you're doing this, might as well open up your can of clam nectar. I'll put these into the recycling bin after I wash them. Now this has got some flour dust on it because it's kept down next to the gluten-free flour. From that side, I can just do the whole thing. Rinse that off like that. Alright, so out of your clams itself, you get a bunch of nectar as well. Okay, you're just gonna put that aside. I might as well grate my carrot while I'm at it. Let's get a bigger bowl. I'm not gonna, I don't need it all. So I'd say that's roughly one human-sized carrot. This one, cut off that end. In there. We got the carrots. Come here. Packing those veggies in. Okay, and then we'll come back and I will be showing you the flour part. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. I should mention, if you don't want to cook the potatoes in the soup, you can parboil them a little bit and then toss them in as well. That are the carrots. Put down nicely. One of the things you'll notice, and why you have to keep stirring the chowder with potatoes in it, is the starches will start to cook on the bottom. See that brown spot right there? That's the starch. Okay, so take my flour and I need a measuring cup. And this is about half a cup. Now, another thing that you can do is you can make the stock and the butter mixture together. Kind of make your creamy base part separate from this, and then just pour it in if you don't want to do it like this. Sometimes you can get flour lumps. When I use gluten-free flour, I usually don't. You can also sift your flour in a little bit at a time. This is just how I make my roux. I like chowder because you got all the fat from the bacon. You need the rest of my flour now. Okay. Also, the clams will also thicken the soup as well. I don't really understand the logic behind that, but it does. Flour away. So you incorporate your flour, keep stirring. And already there's a lot of salt in there, bacon, and the clams will add more, so I said don't need to add too much. Just gonna let that roux cook for a minute. While we're doing that, I'm just gonna set up my station. Did musical theater last night, and my staff was here a little late. Didn't get a chance to put everything away, so follow the chef. Okay, so I'm going to take my clam nectar, pour that in. Pour that in. Rinse can out. While I'm rinsing it, I'm going to take a little touch of the water just to assist with saltiness. I'm just going to stir it up. Like I said, it's best if you give it a day or like 6 hours or so. Just sit. So you could make it, put it in like a slow cooker on low heat. I always find though that it's best if it waits a few hours before serving. You can also serve it immediately. I just tell you what works best for me. I give you the general guidelines. And then that's up to you. Now, I did find some cream, so I'm going to get that. If I don't get the consistency I want, I am going to add some milk to it. You could add milk, you could add heavy cream, you could add half and half, which is what this is. So yeah, a cup of cream to it. As you can see, you start to get that familiar color you see with New England clam chowder. Boston clam chowder is tomato based. I don't really like that one, so I never really make it. I don't think I've ever made it. So turn the heat up a little bit. We're gonna bring it up to a simmer. And then once it's simmering, I'll add my clams. I'm just gonna add another quarter cup of cream. So all the dark bits are, that's the thyme floating to the top. Another thing you can do, if you don't want to wait for it to come back to temperature, is you can have your stalks on the stove in another pot warming, and that causes the reaction between the flours, well, blooms, I guess, for the thickening. See that you do ups and downs. Let's just see where we are. We're at got a long ways to go to the boiling point. So at this point, you just keep on stirring. It's going to crank the heat up so it goes a little faster. I can also feel potatoes sticking to the bottom a little bit. There's that little tug of the spoon. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. Gluten-free flour usually takes a little bit longer to bloom than regular flour. The flour I use just all-purpose. Don't use bread flour or any of it like pasta flour. Don't use any of those specialty flours. Just use all-purpose flour. It's been so long since I've actually looked at regular flours. I don't even know. There could be a soup flour. You could also use cornstarch. I have never done it, so I don't know what the ratio would be on that. You probably just do a slurry. Start out with like 2 tablespoons mixed with some cream, and then pour it in. It'll thicken up. If you can't have flour, but like I said, this is celiac safe because it's gluten-free flour. Made from scratch. None of the other ingredients have anything in it. One thing I want to add, let me just grab it. I'm going to turn this down because I'm walking away. All right. One other thing you can add to your chowder, a little Tabasco or hot sauce. I add about 4 drops. All right, so the flour has had ample time to come off the vegetables, get into the soup. The soup is starting to thicken up, so I'm going to add the old pile of clams. Whoops. All right. And you can tell almost instantly it started thickening up even more. That's also because there's 2 pounds of clams in here, so I like a nice clammy soup. Like my customers have a nice clammy soup. I hate it when I go for clam chowder and it's like 1 clam, a potato, and a piece of celery. I want a hearty bowl. So basically, at this point, you can add your salt. Not your salt, sorry. You'd add your pepper. The pepper's not here yet. So I'm gonna wait. This is just gonna simmer nicely. I'm gonna move it over to the flat top, add that, and then it's gonna simmer for about 20 minutes just to marry everything. And I'm gonna take it off the heat, cool it down, and we'll be ready for service. So that is my clam chowder. Hope you have fun making it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're doing well. We're going to make roast beef. Now, this is an outside round. You can also get inside round. It's slightly bigger than the roast you buy at home, but the principles are all the same. This one I use for my beef dips and my stuffed Yorkshire. This one had something on the bottom, so we're just going to clean that up. There's a few processes that you need to do before, but it doesn't take long. And some parents, like when I was growing up, my mom was like, "Oh, roast beef. That takes so long." But we're going to go through the steps. And you'll see it's really not that hard. I hope you can hear me. I've got a new microphone. Fans are quite loud today. So first step, it's going to be to open the roast, and I'm going to rinse it off in the sink just to get rid of the blood, and so we can start nice and fresh. So I'm going to do that and then come back and we'll go from there. Okay, so as you can see, we have our roast all washed off. I've patted it dry. At this point, you can trim some of this off if you want. Most of your roast probably won't have it. What I'll usually do is cook the roast like this, so most of the fat helps keeps it moist. And then I'll trim it after cooking, which you'll see before slicing. And I'll take the trim and I'll add it to the liquid that's coming out of the roast, and then I'll simmer that, make the au jus, or you can make your gravy, or whatever you want to do, soup, broth, things of that nature. Just gonna move. So we're gonna leave this as it is, and then we're gonna prepare our pan for the roast. Now, you always got to make sure that you have a proper size pan for your roast. I don't cook my roast covered. Never cook them covered. Then you get a gray roast. Okay? First thing I need to do is grab an onion. And just rough chop it. Skins are fine. My knives need to sharpen. Oh my god. Rough chop. Throw that in the pan. Bring this down here. You can see. Don't really need the skin. Okay, got like that. I got some carrots. Don't need a ton. Basically, this just helps keep the roast off the bottom of the pan. So, that. I got some celery that's starting to get to the point where it's seen better days. The flippy floppy. Just a couple stalks. This is gonna go into the au jus. All right, you don't have to be. The leaves are fairly bitter, so you don't really want those. Okay, celery in. Next, so before it hit -50 here, I smoked some garlic. Just gonna throw in a small handful. You're not gonna have that much, well, unless you really like garlic at home, hanging around. Next, we got some rosemary. Throw in a couple sprigs of that. All right. Next thing I add is cooking wine. This is Paul Dupree red cooking wine. It's a blend of quality red wine and distilled spirits. It doesn't tell me what the other spirits are. This says wine water, neutral spirits, salt, grape skin, extract, tartaric acid, citric acid, sulfites, and potassium sorbate. And the reason they add salt to this now is because so many chefs suffer from mental health problems and resort to the drink. I don't. Most of the chefs were drinking the wine rather than putting it into the ingredients, so they've added salt. So my roast, probably a good 15 pounder. Just gonna add about a cup, 2 cups to the bottom of that. And also, I'm gonna throw in some cracked black pepper and some seasoning salt, table salt. I just looked at seasoning salt as they're saying that. But where's my cloth? So we've got our pan ready for our roast. The next thing, we're going to take our roast and put it on top. And actually, I am going to trim a little piece off here. I didn't bring up my boning knife, so I'm just going to have to do it with my French knife. Okay. I'll throw up an infographic and some information. We'll talk about where the outside round is from versus the inside round. Okay, my next step, which I normally do, mustard and pickle juice. This works best for smoking because it helps the smoke adhere to it. Also, it works nice and gives a nice little crust on the roast when you're roasting it. Imagine that, you're roasting a roast. Take that, put that all in there. And then the next step, you take yourself a nitrile glove. You can use latex, I guess, but they have to be powder free. You don't want cornstarch. I only need one. And you just kind of massage it in everywhere. Just put on that scene from the ghost. So you've got your mustard slathered on, and this is also going to help your spices adhere to it. Okay. Now, at this point, I could use fresh rosemary, but I don't feel like chopping it up. So I'm going to take some dried rosemary, sprinkle that on top. And this is my burger seasoning. It's just Laurie's seasoning salt. And sprinkle that on top. And I've got some, this says blended whole pepper, but my pepper container is massive, so I waited until I was out of the peppers and filled this up. So it's pepper. Put that on there like that. Alright, now we've already got the mustard. Where is the thyme? A little bit of thyme. Alright. And that's all there is. Now this is going to go into a 350 to 365 degree oven for one this size. I'm going to check it in about 2 hours. I want it to be around 135, so when I pull it out and rest, it goes to around 140, because it will continue to cook as it cools. The heat's got to go somewhere. Oh, one other thing I want to add is a little bit of water. I got 2 cups there. I'm just going to add a little bit. Oops. Try not to do that. Yeah, I'm just mocking it up. Mocking it up. All right. We'll rinse off on that. Okay. So that's going to go in the oven. And then when it's done and cool, I'll show you how to trim it. And I'll take you down and we'll slice it up. And then maybe we'll make a beef dip. And we'll go from there. Okay, so our roast has come out of the oven. It's cooled completely. Now we have to trim it up, and then we have to shave it for our beef dips and our stuffed Yorkie. Just gonna take you for a little walk over here. Now this is all of the, well, not all the liquid, all the stuff that was in the pan. I had about a liter of stock from the last one that I had frozen, and I've added that to this. This wasn't completely thawed, so I'm just going to add the rest of it here. This is going to go on for about an hour and a half. It's going to reduce, and that's just going to add so much more flavor to the beef dip. So what I'll do is I'll take the beef and I will heat up some jus and then toss it in there and cook it a little bit more. It imparts much better flavor. Alright, so we're going to come back over to our roast. Ooh, look, there's a thumb. Hi, how you doing? I'm just going to move this to the back of the stove. Put it on low. You can take all the fat out if you want. Fat means flavor, so you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. It's a cold one today. Not as cold as it has been. Where did I put my buckets? So there's just some areas I'm going to trim, and I'm going to throw it in the pot as well. And once again, I didn't bring up my boning knife, so I'll use my smaller French knife. I'm left-handed, so I'm trying not to hit the camera. Just going around. There's a little piece here. Some people are like, oh my God, you're taking off all the seasoning. Well, I am taking some of it off, but not all. You can see a little bit of fat there. Just don't want people to have it. A little bit here. Oh, there's the camera. Yeah, that looks like a face. Squidward thing. There's a head. Anyways, so that is this piece here. Oh, it'll just rip off. And you can see there's some rosemary stuff on the bottom. What's that? That's a little tough piece there. So we'll take that off. I can see there's a fair chunk of fat here. I'll take that off. And now that piece that I just cut off here, even though I'm going to lose that piece, it's not going to go to waste. It's going in my belly. So good. So this would feed a family of 50, this roast. I could probably get, if I had to guess, probably about 40 portions out of here for the work. A little piece right here. And you don't have to trim it all. You can just leave it the way it is. There. Okay. There was actually one little bit right there I want to take off. See it? Right there. That's a tough bristly bit. I want to remove that. Check, see where it is. That one goes deep. There we go. This can all go into the pot. All right. That's taken care of. I'm gonna rinse my hands off. Grab a container. Nice clean container. Roast goes in there. This goes away. And the next step is slicing the roast beef. Hello, roast beef. How are you doing today? Get in my tummy. So bring this little wipe down. Okay. Check my stock. Also with the au jus, you can add a little bit more red wine to it and a little bit more salt. So I added to that probably about half a cup of red wine. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of salt. And I'll throw in some more rosemary and stuff later. But for now, that is our outside round. Ready for slicing. Next stop is the slicer. All right, welcome to the dungeon that is my prep kitchen. You can see I'm missing a shelf that fell down right before Christmas. More of a prep kitchen / storage area, and compressor decided to turn on. I've got our roast on the slicer. Ooh, Big Bertha. I'm gonna show you. I know you're not gonna have this at home, but sometimes it's nice to see. I'm just gonna set you up over here. Now, make sure everything is tight because you don't want any accidents. Okay. Turn it on. Maybe I'll zoom in so you can see the meat again. What is that? Did a test slice and I left a mess. Let me clean that off. There we go. We'll turn her back on. Now I'm going to slice this around a 0.75. It's being difficult, so I'm just going to have to hold it like this. I know there's a safety guard, but it kind of sucks on this one. All right, how we doing? There you go. Come on, focus in on that. Focus. Whatever. There you go. Nice. And thin. Makes for a nice sandwich. And like I said, I throw it in some au jus. Cook it up. So what we do, because we sell so much, is we slice it, we portion it, we keep a bunch out fresh, but unfortunately we have to, well, we were having to freeze it and then pull it when we needed it while it was portioned. It doesn't affect the taste at all because it's really only frozen for like a week. Oops, I just leaned into the stove and turned it on. So, there's a nice little pile of meat. So our next step will be, so good, can't stop eating it. I'll show you how I make my beef dips. And we'll put everything we made together and show you the outcome. There's our roast, all nicely sliced. As you can see, it's nice medium rare. It's gonna make some nice sandwiches. It's nice and tender, got good flavor. So I'm gonna show you how I turned all of this into this. Brown sugar caramelized onions. Move you over here for a second. Bear with me. So I've got 6 onions, which I have thinly sliced. Mandolin makes it very easy. I just left mine at home. I've got thyme. I've got some salt. I've got red wine. And I've got brown sugar and I have time. So what you're gonna want to do is put a pot on your stove on low heat. Now I have an advantage because I have a flat top. And how does this go? Let's look here. Nope, this one. Nope, this one. There we go. See, I got my onions on trim over there. So what I've done is I've put some, holy crap, I forgot what I was going to say. I put some olive oil, not olive oil, canola oil into the pot, and I've warmed it up. So the next step is taking your onions and putting them in the pot and reducing them. Reduce. So it's at this point, not much is going to happen. But the onions have some sugars in them. Those are going to start coming out as well as the liquid and caramelize. At first, it's going to be like boiling. So the only spice I really need to add right now is thyme. 6 onions. I'm adding approximately 2 tablespoons of thyme. And I'm also going to add some salt to help draw it out. We're going to let that reduce and cook for about 4 hours, maybe less. If I had to hazard a guess, it'd probably be 2 hours. And then to that, I'm going to add a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of red wine, and I'm going to let it reduce so it gets a little sticky, and take it off and let it cool, and put it into an insert. And that is all it is. Making the onions for caramelized brown sugar onions. You can also use this to make French onion soup. If you're going to do French onion soup, I do 6 white onions and 2 red onions sliced thin and reduce them down, and I add my beef stock to that. There you go. 3 hours later. Let's make ourselves a roast beef. So I've got a small hoagie bun here, pretzel bun. I ordered these ones by mistake, so I got to use them up. Probably going to make meatball subs with them. Be different. I don't know. Got that. I've got my meat. I've got my onions. I've got my cheese. And I've got homemade mustard. And over on the stove, I have my au jus. So I'm going to take the meat, throw it in the au jus, take my bun, and I'm going to cut it. Take my baked sheet for that. Take my cheese, put that on the top. Take my onions, put them on the bottom. We're going to take a little walk. Woo, look at that, just fell off. I'm going to put this in the oven. Cheese, bun. Take your beef. When your beef is on, take some horseradish aioli, which is just horseradish. and mayonnaise. Put that on top. And then take the mustard. And spread it on there like that. And then I take some toothpicks. I keep getting interrupted. And there we have our beef dip. It's just for me, so I'm not worried about fancy plate presentation. There we go. Enjoy.
So today I am going to do a jalapeno relish, but not just any jalapeno relish, a smoked jalapeno relish. So first step is to wash your jalapenos and get them on the smoker for 1 to 2 hours, maybe even 3, depending on the level of smoke you want. While those are smoking, you can fine dice our onion. Get that frying up in the frying pan. Bake it just till it's translucent. Here you have the jalapenos on the smoker. Okay, so while our jalapenos are smoking, I'm going to prepare the onions. And you want it nice and small. And your jalapenos, like I said, are going to take 2 to 3 hours. So you can start this getting ready in the fridge. And then they're there when you're done and ready. You see some chefs cut their onion like this too. I haven't seen it. This is a kind of new recipe for me. I just decided to make it to try it gastronomic. Work on grilled meats, pork chops, steaks, hot dogs. I know there's jalapeno relish, but I've not seen any smoked jalapeno relishes. We'll see if it's any good. Here's home. Also got some peppers, which I roasted off for a sandwich I'm doing, which I might show later. I've got a lot of them. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dice one up, just for a little color in the relish. And these I just roasted on the grill, so the skins are nice and crispy. Put them in a bowl. That should be one spoon. Maybe one or two. Just a nice little dice. Now the other thing you can grill. Onions. I just let them steam. Zucchini, mushrooms, peppers. Applying all these on a piece of bread with some pesto aioli and a little balsamic drizzle, such as this. And you've got yourself a lovely little sandwich. That's one of my wife's favorites. I used to serve at my restaurant on Vancouver Island as well. Did I say top with arugula? I did top with arugula, or spinach, or whatever lettuce you have. I like making condiments for sandwiches, so I've taken pickled onions, mango relish. I'm not a huge fan of cilantro though. I had a bad experience. I had a migraine when I was living on the island, and I ate something with a lot of cilantro in it, and now I associate it with that way. I haven't been able to eat it since. So that's that. I'm going to assemble the rest of the ingredients. Salt, vinegar, and we're going to go from there. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to pickle relish or if I'm just going to do a hot cooked relish. But whichever way, I'll post the recipe in the video. So I've decided to do a cooked relish since the jalapenos were already cooked by way of smoking them. So in this pan, I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil and about 1 head of garlic. Getting that going. And to that, I'm going to add my onions. And we're going to cook that down for a few minutes. Then we're going to add our roasted peppers to it. And then it will be good for the jalapenos. I'm also going to add a little bit of honey, so I'll let you know in that. I have added a little bit of lemon and a little bit of lime zest to the onion and garlic mixture, just to give a little bit of brightness. Obviously, you're not going to make this much at home unless you're going to put it in a jar and can it and keep it for a few weeks. It should last for about a week and a half, 2 weeks in the fridge. I'm making enough because this is a restaurant setting and this will be for my smoked meat sandwiches. Okay, so I've also got the juice of said lemon and lime. Pour that in. And, oops, sorry. Gotta hold you in place and go. I'm also going to add, doing a handheld tripod here. 3 tablespoons of honey just for sweetness, and I don't really like using refined sugar if I don't have to. So we're going to let this cook down, and then we'll come back and we'll add our red peppers to it and reduce liquid, and then it will sit until the jalapenos are ready. Alright, these have been simmering for about 5 minutes now. I'm going to add the red peppers now and just let it reduce down to almost nothing. Okay, so we're just going to let that reduce, develop the flavors as it reduce, and hopefully in about an hour and a half the peppers are done. And we'll see, we'll have a see it. Let me see how they're doing. They've been on for about an hour now. All right. As you can see, this has been about 8 minutes. Virtually no liquid left. So I'm just gonna let this sit and cool. And in a couple hours, I will get the jalapenos off, and we'll go over what to do with them. It smells amazing so far. Alright, it's been about an hour. Getting some browning. Probably gonna need another 2 hours. Alright, 3 hours. They're looking like I want them to. They're not mushy, but they're not hard either. They've got a nice smoke to them. You're just gonna take them off your smoker, put them on a sheet pan, and you want it to cool for a little bit. Then you want to get some gloves and de-seed them, and then we will chop them up and make our relish. Okay, the jalapenos have had sufficient enough time to cool down so I can handle them. So I got 2 bowls. Ding ding. Glove up. There's 1 bowl for the discarded ends. And the seeds. You can leave some seeds in. The seeds have all the cuts and all the heat. So just gonna pull it. You got the eggs. Be very careful not to touch your eyes or any sensitive spots on your body while working with jalapenos. Okay, and we're just gonna dice it up. We're the julienne first. I'm getting a heartburn just doing this. I don't deal well with hot stuff, but a lot of people around me at work like it, so I have lots of willing victims. Basically, we are just going to do that. All of those. I will come back when I've got them done. After having a think about it, I realized that just dicing them will not give me the consistency I'm looking for. And that is that of a relish. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pulse these a few times to give me that nice relishy consistency. But I'm also going to save a handful, dice them, just to give a little chunkiness to the relish as well. The same will go for the onion and pepper mix. I will pulse that a few times as well. Just going to make sure we get the right plug-in. It's getting there. There we go. Sure, use a hand I didn't grab the peppers with. Yeah, it looks something like that. also means you don't have to dice up 100 chili peppers. Actually, that's pretty chunky itself. I think I'm going to just pulse them all. A few seeds in there. It's okay. I would take our onion and pepper mix we did earlier. Use my hands, get in there. Leave the lid. Pulse it. You don't want to go too long on this one. There we go. This is the onions and the peppers and the honey and a little bit of salt. All put down. Push this out of my way. I'm going to mix this up. Losing some. That's okay. Okay. So if you're wearing gloves, grab it, pull, and grab this one, and pull, and then just come off, and you don't have to worry about touching. So that's a smoked jalapeno relish. Good for hot dogs, burgers, whatever you feel like putting it on. You can eat it as a chip dip too. Have a good one.
Alright everyone, so I had to mute it when I was recording it. I'm going to have to do the narration now. As you can see, I've already diced everything. So what you will need to do is fine dice your carrots, your zucchini, your celery, your red pepper, some frozen corn, some green onions, canned lentils, rinsed well. For extra protein, chickpeas, that's all we put it in for. And to save time, I'm using a package of taco spice. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so I have my pan on the stove, and I'm going to go ahead and add some olive oil, extra virgin. And what we're going to do is let that heat up nice and warm. And you want to use a pan with a lid just to seal in the heat as well while it's cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and see if it's hot, and then I'm going to take my carrots and my celery. I'm just going to put them in the pan and let them start cooking because they're a harder vegetable. They take longer to cook. Stick my hand in there like a noob. And now we're just going to let that cook for a little while. Give it a little stir. Then I'll turn the heat down a little bit. And you just keep stirring it around. Alright, so these have been cooking for probably about 2 to 3 minutes now. I forgot to add the garlic. Oh my goodness. Let's get that in there and get that cooking around. There's a little extra in there. What kind of guy doesn't add garlic to his lentils? We're going to stir that around, just get the garlic going a little bit. As you can see, most of the oil has been absorbed by the pan. That's or not by the pan, by the vegetables, but that's okay. That happens. It'll all cook out. This is quite healthy. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my peppers and my zucchini. You can use whatever vegetables you want. This is just what I happen to have on hand right now. Alright, so now it's time to add our frozen corn. Oh, come on, get out of the bowl. Get out of the bowl. There we go. And well, we're just going to stir that up. Give it a little shake. Shake the pan, shake the pan. Get everything all nice and mixed up there. Add your lid and let it cook. Alright, so it's been cooking probably about 6 to 7 minutes now. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my lentils. Get everything out because you don't want to leave no lentil behind. Give it a little stir, mix it up. Mix, 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 toss, toss, toss. Add your chickpeas. Do the same thing there. Give it a little mix. Toss, toss, toss. And put your cover back on and let it cook for probably another 5 minutes. Alright, important safety tip. Always pull the lid off and open it away from you. That way the steam doesn't get you. So now it's time to add our taco spice. I only usually add about half a package when I use package, but you can add the whole thing depending on how much spice you want in there. Give it a stir or mix, however you choose. Just keep on doing that. Now it's time to add your green onions. Make sure you get all those tasty little onions out of the bowl. And add some hot water. I think I added about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup to this. And you give it a nice little stir. Make sure everything's all nicely incorporated. All you're doing is building flavors. Okay, so this has been cooking probably for 15 to 20 minutes. We like to use it for a burrito filling, meatless Mondays, Taco Tuesdays, whatever you want to do. Or it's good as a side dish on its own. Or you could even use a side dish with meat or what have you. I hope you try it out and you enjoy it. Leave me some feedback. Thanks. Alright everyone, black bean brownies. Here's what you need. You'll need 1 can of black beans, rinsed and drained. Half a cup of oats. 2 tablespoons of sugar. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That's 2 teaspoons of vanilla. 1/4 cup of cooking oil. 1/3 of a cup maple syrup. And that is 3 tablespoons of high quality cocoa powder. Put the lid on and you let it go. Pulse it a few times and just let it mix. And you want to let it go for a while, just let it keep on mixing. You're probably going to want to stop, shake it, and push it down with a spatula at one point. As you can see, my daughter was helping me. You do not want to add your chocolate chips. That's a no-no. That is 1 cup of chocolate chips, by the way. So, see, we're just
tamping it down, tamping it down, tamping it down. The spatula if you want. There's no eggs. It's gluten free as well. You turn it on, let it go for a little while again. Just keep on letting it pulse. You want it to be really, really mixed together and really, really mushed. And as you see, my daughter's had enough. So we're just waiting. Okay, that looks like that's enough there. Take it off, see? Nice and mushy. Now you add your chocolate chips, and you're going to want to mix it up really well. So now you've got that done, move that aside, you clean up. Well, first you got to mix, then you clean up. Then we have an 8x8 baking pan, which I have sprayed with Pam. Give it a good little spray there. And you just take your brownie mix and throw it into your pan. And once you got all your mix in, you're going to want to put a little bit of oil or spray on your spatula. And then you want to move it around. And just make sure that the whole thing is spread out nice and evenly to get that really nice cook on your brownies. You can see I was having a bit of trouble here. Alright, so spread it out, make sure it's all good. To get nice and level, and you want to even it out because no one wants to get gypped on any of this brownie. It's awesome. If you make it and you don't tell anyone what's in it, they won't even be able to guess those black beans. The first time I made it, I was skeptical. I have a daughter who's gluten-free, and we're searching for alternatives for the regular desserts and birthday cakes and things like that. Alright, so we've got it all nicely spread out. So then we take it and we put it in our oven, 350 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes. And here's the finished product. Give it a try, and I hope it works for you.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Okay, this is part of the bacon and sausage stream. Or maybe just bacon. Haven't quite figured that one out yet. So we are going to start curing our bacon. I just need to find my gloves. There's the gloves. Okay, so pork belly is a good price right now. This is actually a good piece for roasting to make the breakfast pork belly sandwich. But, yeah, stop it. Morning. So this is our belly. Our voice was Victoria, the Princess of Serenity. I guess she's gonna. So here's our pork belly. We're going to put our rub on it. There's going to be our bacon. So this is going to take 10 days. We're doing 2 packages because they're not going to all fit. Alright, so I'm going to make up this rub for it. First thing you're going to need is some curing salt, or frog powder. Not a lot though. Just open it up here. Open up. This also has the nitrates in it, so we don't want a lot. It's about a tablespoon and a half. Some chili powder. You can experiment. Bacon doesn't have to be maple smoked. I did like maple smoked in my day, guys. Here we go. Then I got some nacho chili. And everybody know hickory smoke. So we are going to smoke it in about a week. That's just going to help infuse the flavor. A little bit of garlic. Victoria, you can start on this. And some brown sugar. So all we're gonna do, rub it up. Put it on. Just start rubbing your meat. Soften that in. Like here, Craig powder is going to draw water out as well. Okay, and that is that. So, if you're a home cook, what you're gonna do is get yourself a Zipline bag. Canola, that's what the recipe says. The recipe says canola. Yeah. You can talk. I mean, I can mute you off the stream. Where's the honey? It's in the back. Unless Lois has it squirreled away somewhere. You know Lois. I'm just getting on my computer. Alright. So I've got a vacuum packer. So as I was saying, if you can grab a Ziploc bag and do it. So it's going to sit in your fridge for 10 to 12 days. During that time, you're going to flip it once a day. So whether you flip it in the morning or in the evening, it doesn't matter. These bags aren't the best for the vacuum packers, so it will not pull all the air out, but it will pull enough of the air out and keep it sealed so that air and flavors from the fridge do not get in. Okay? There we go. And we're just going to stick that on the bottom of our fridge, and then every day we're going to flip it for about 10 days. I might speed it up because I got a little curing salt in there than I did last time. I might do it next Thursday, so a week from today. I will put it on the smoker and we will go over from there. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other one, and then put them in the fridge, and then we'll come back in a week and we'll go from there. 9 days since I started the bacon in the curing process. So you can see there's a little bit of liquids come out, not a lot. It wasn't a very fatty piece. So I got the smoker ready. Oh, it smells so good. I'm using an applewood smoke on this one. Okay, so there's your bacon. You can see there's the streaks. So that's the bacon. Normally, like I said, it takes up the whole pan, but this is a different pork belly I'm using. Actually, you know what? Camera battery's about to die, so I'm just gonna switch it out. Okay, so now we're back. So we're gonna go up to the smoker. Just need to grab my probe thermometer. This guy. And we're gonna put that on there, and we're gonna go for a little walk. Oh my God, it's Chef. Look at that shine on his head. Alright, so we're gonna go outside. Oh, should be a little smoky out here, eh? There's our smoker. Alright. So, I've got it. Oops, you can't see that, can you? There we go. I have got it set to a smoke cycle. Okay, temperature's 179. I'm going to try to keep it smoking around that temperature, so I'm going to prop the door open a little bit. Push it down. The heat is on. The heat is on the heat. I guess that's the proper way to say it. We're going to turn on our probe. And we're going to set the temperature to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Actually, I'm going to do 180 and then let it rest. So I'm going to stick the probe into the thick. I gotta put you down for this. Hang on. Into the thickest part. There we go. Hang on. All right. Sorry about that. Someone wanted to see what I was smoking. So there it is, all ready to go. 2 hours. I will be back out here to get it, and then it has to rest for 12 to 24 hours, and then we can eat it. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Bacon in our tummy. All right, so I'll see you guys in about 2 hours. So here is our bacon, fresh off the smoker. It's got a nice golden color. I smoked it with an applewood wood. Applewood wood, yeah. So the next step is for this to sit in the fridge for 12 to 24 hours, so it has a chance to firm up. Any other liquids that want to ooze out of it can ooze out of it. And then tomorrow is the slice, cook, and num-num phase. And we can go from there. And if you don't have a smoker, you don't have to worry about it. If you have a barbecue, you can buy chips and turn one side on really, really, really low and try and cold smoke that way. At home, I have a puck smoker, which can be converted for cold smoking as well. Just so happens I've got this to use up today at work, and I have a giant smoker, so why not utilize that? So tomorrow we will cook it and slice it and go from there, and I pretty much guarantee you I will be dressed exactly the same as I wear black in the kitchen. So we will check in on this tomorrow. So our bacon has chilled overnight. Looking pretty good. At this point, if I wanted to, I could remove some of the fat. I just like that. But that's the flavor. So you can slice it as thick or thin as you want. Like that's a fail cut right there. But you know, looks like bacon.
nice slice of bacon. But some people like it thick, so if you like it thick, here we go. So, yeah. And so all you do is you cook it. If you have a vacuum packer, you can vacuum pack it and freeze it and pull it out when you need it. It has a shelf life probably for about a week, week and a half in the fridge as is. But you want to get it in a good bag, airtight container. It will smell up your fridge of smoke. And that is about all I have to say about that. We're gonna fry this up. I didn't have breakfast this morning. Went to the gym instead. That's smart. So we're gonna fry it up. Make ourselves a little BLT sandwich with an egg on it, a little belt, and yeah.
going to cover chicken marinade for a buttermilk marinade for the chicken. And we're going to go over how to prepare a brisket for smoking all the way to the end product for the sandwich. So we have our brisket here. It's one I had left over from last year that I had to freeze. So it's thawed and bled out. So it's all nice and good to go. So we're just going to go and trim it up. Don't want to remove all the fat, but some of it. So normally I'll save some fat for sausages, which I'll be making this year at a later video. But because I will be doing more briskets before I open, we're just going to go ahead and toss it because it's actually quite full of fat. I could actually, if I wanted to, roast it off and use it to make a stock, but the problem with that being that the fat will render, and I will be left with maybe a liter of fat and 3 liters of stock. Or fat, sorry. So as you can see, I'm taking it down a little bit more than I want to, but that's alright. Just want to get rid of the sinewy stuff here. So brisket needs to be cooked low and slow. It's not like a roast we can put in the oven for a few hours and it's done. We'll go over later, but I usually cook my briskets for about 14 hours, but I smoke them for about 8. And then I have a sham, a special oven in my kitchen, that will cook them low and slow and then hold them at a specific temperature for a few hours. And for every hour it cooks, see, you don't want this. Every hour it gets held for, it just helps make it more tender and juicy. So we want to get rid of this right here. It's not being left-handed. But this, I mean, I can just rotate the knife. That's true. Okay. Let's get rid of this piece here. So let's see. It's all fats. You got a little bit of meat. I'm not worried about that. In fact, I actually might just turn that into a bit of a stock. And then, okay, so if you flip your brisket over, as you can see right here, this is a big piece of fat, and also this is a big fat cap, so you're just going to want to trim that up. I don't really need that. Just guide your knife along the fat, pull it away. And the fat's going to run through the whole thing. So you can't get it all. People are like, oh, it's so fat. Well, the fat does a few things. It helps add flavor, but it also adds moisture as it cooks. So you don't want to remove it all. You can remove it once it's done cooking, because brisket is 2 muscles in one. So you got this muscle here on the bottom, and then this muscle on the top, which has a connector right here. So you separate that. You got top and the bottom. Now, the top piece, the grain runs this way. The bottom piece, the grain is running this way. You can see the grain right there, running that way. And then this one actually, this one's all running the same way. So, let's just trim this bad boy off. Right here. Brisket, until I started working at this golf course, which is where I'm the executive chef, I only had brisket every once in a while. Once I developed my own recipe, I started eating it a little bit more. I don't eat a lot of red meat anymore. I recently lost 30 pounds. I primarily stick to lentils and that, but I do enjoy a good piece of brisket on some marble rye. Nice grainy mustard. Alright, let's just get rid of this piece. I don't like the way it looks. Okay, so
There's our quickly framed brisket. As you can see, the grain running on the meat right there. So what we're going to do next is we are going to make our brisket rub. And actually, let's see a piece I missed right here. Alright, so I'm going to take the trimmings, boot them down here. I'm going to grab my hotel pan. Put this guy in there right now. Great. I'm gonna get I got some gloves here. We'll switch to white gloves. I got a hole. Now, my brisket rub is made in house. I cheat with my smoke a little bit. I have a little bit of hickory smoke spice. So we're just gonna put a little bit of that in there. That's probably 2 tablespoons. So when I'm making the brisket rub, I'm not making for one brisket. I usually have 6 or 7 to do at a time. Now this is a charcoal spice. Okay, I usually use it for my fry season. That was a 2-ounce portion cup, but I probably took 1 ounce out of that. Got some granulated garlic. Not too much. A little bit of pepper. Now, the one thing I need to go find is the salt. My kitchen is actually a horrible, horrible mess right now because I'm expecting some new equipment. It came in, but the freezer doors on my equipment are all backwards. So, let me go grab the salt and a whisk. Just move that up. Okay, so got sea salt. Now you don't want to put a lot of salt in your rub. It's going to draw the moisture out of the meat. Since I'm not really smoking this until tomorrow or Wednesday, today is Monday, my first day back at work this weekend. Alright. Smells amazing with the charcoal spice. Now I could add brown sugar to it, but I found that because I'm going to be trying a few different ways of doing this brisket, I'll be cutting it in half. I'm going to try one piece in a pressure cooker and another piece after the whole thing's smoked in the sham. So I'm going to do the pressure cooker for one, the sham for the rest, see which works out best. Let's just grab us some gloves. These are large. Turn your head and cough. Okay, so 1 glove. Oh, ripped glove. Let's grab another one out of the box. Oh my god, these gloves suck. Alright, forget it. We'll just do it like this. Alright, so you take your brisket. Because I've only made enough for one brisket here. Apply liberally. Okay. Rub your meat. Rub it in, rub it in, rub it in, rub it in. Okay. Okay, and then you flip it over. Get this little crack here. Get some in the crack. Don't be afraid to rub the crack. Everyone's always afraid of the crack. Don't fear the crack. Okay? Sorry. Alright. So there is our rub brisket. You can see the charcoal is activated. Get it all nice in there. Alright, so we've got our brisket. We have got our rub on. Give me 2 seconds and we'll go to the next step. Just get this out of the way. Alright, so my next step, because I'm not in a hurry to cook this, I am going to let it cure overnight. So I've got some saran wrap here. Okay. Grab my brisket. Put her down. We're just gonna wrap it up. In some saran wrap. Air out. Just like that. Okay. Who's six? Alright. Oh. Alright. I just got a text. We made it open on Saturday. Take a fresh hotel pan. Put it in. You gotta put it in the fridge for at least 24 hours. You can go longer. I wouldn't. 24 hours. You can go 10 hours if you want. Pretty sure most people are buying briskets this big. Our next step, which you will see, is the meat going on the smoker. That will be. Alright.
It's not every day that ordinary people get to put a life-saving cause on the map. But today,
Brisket is marinated for 24 hours. Yeah. So, remove the plastic wrap. Oh, it smells so good. I got a glove up. No love without the glove. Okay, so. Alright, so I just actually noticed there's a little bit of fat here. I'm just going to trim that off. That's right. So this part's not going to be that seasoned, but it's alright because it'll absorb more smoke. We'll get that nice ring. Just going to throw that out. Okay. So our next step is to turn on the smoker and get it up to heat, and then I will show you that process. Alright, so we have our brisket in the pan, ready to go. I cut it because I need a little piece for an experiment. Another piece I'm going to smoke both pieces. This is what I told you about, the muscle. There's one part there, see how that way is running? And then the bottom part there is running a different way. So let's go up to the smoker, which is now up to temperature. Come walk with me. Alright. So we're at our smoker. Nice little Traeger. Alright. So take your meat. Let it on. Okay. Put it on. Sometimes I do a mop. Today I'm not going to. I'm just gonna hold you for a second like that. I can take off my gloves. Okay. Obviously we smoke outside. So that's that. And my smoker is a vanilla smoker. This is a mesquite pellet. I have cherry, apple. Sorry, this isn't a mesquite. This is the Texas barbecue blend. That's right. Yeah, that's the Texas barbecue blend. So this is my smoker. Now that is going to sit on there probably about 3 hours and smoke up really nice and good, get us a nice smoke ring, and then move on to the next step. Alright, let's have a little check. It's been about 2.5 hours. Oh yeah. Those are done. They've got a nice bark on them. Yeah. You can alternatively do is mop them with barbecue sauce as well, but that's not something I need to do. So next, let's take these back into the kitchen. I'll show you how to wrap them. All right. Our brisket is smoked for 3 hours. Now we're going to wrap it and get it ready to go into the Alto sham. If you don't have a sham, you can put it in your oven at 220 degrees for about 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours. Okay, so to start, you've got a piece of parchment paper. Take your brisket, which is off the smoker, put it on the parchment. Move this.
So how long are you gonna be here?
2 hours, one.
Okay, is there somebody on the phone who wants to pick samples for you?
Alright.
I just tell her till 5?
Yeah.
5?
Alright. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? Move that off. I think our lives are a little easier. Pull some saran wrap down. Stick the brisket there. Do that. Do that. Up. Hold it under. Grab the other one. That. Now, ordinarily I do this with double-sided butcher paper, but I don't have any right now. Okay? So we do that. And over the top. So, saran wrap will not melt. It will like vacuum pack onto the brisket, but then it just becomes brittle and you just pull it off. Okay? So you got that wrapped like that. Then you take some aluminum to sorry. Shiny side in. Now when I leave work tonight, I am going to put this in my sham, set for about 6 hours, and then set a holding temperature for about 140 degrees, and that will hold for another 6 or 7 hours until I get back to work in the morning. And by then this will be cooked. I can pull it, let it rest, take all this off, and slice it up. It's D-Day for the brisket. Time to reveal what we got. Alright. So, I don't have a rack for my grill pan, so I just did this. Order
save it. So it was in the sham for cooking for 7 hours, and then holding for another, well, about 9 because I had traffic issues. It snowed here last night, so people are driving a bit stupid. So let's just pull that sucker out. Now, don't throw away your liquid. I'm just trying to get it so it dumps underneath. Okay, so the reason you don't throw away your liquid is because you can use that when you're reheating it. Throw a little bit in the pan, get it boiling, toss your brisket in. So, this is our brisket. Nicely cooked. Let's cut into this bad boy. See what we got. Oh yeah. So you can see the nice smoke ring. That's just from 3 hours. Sometimes I'll go 6. Nice and tender. My goodness. That's so good.